Yo, what is up, everybody? We are cooking camels today. We're throwing in the fire and rising it from the ashes. Yeah, so today we are playing Pharogeist Reanimator. Specifically Pharogeist for a lot of reasons. The main reason is probably the only solar Elestral 3-drop or powerhouse card that independently functions on its own without other cards in play, and that is super relevant, or deck building in the case of Celestial, and that's super relevant for what we're doing with this deck. So let's just jump to the deck and talk about Pharogeist Reanimator. So Pharogeist, obviously, it's a 9/13 for 2 lunar, 1 solar, and it cannot be destroyed in battle and cannot be returned to hand by opponent's card effects. Opponents must also expend 1 spirit in order to cast cards. So this attacks every card opponent plays. Additionally, it's annoying as all hell to remove without specifically Earthquake or Royal, which we have countermeasures in this deck for. So Pharogeist, independently, again, as a Solar Elestral, is going to do its thing every time. If we play Celestial in this slot, we need to run more Solar Elestrals, which will brick our deck. If we run Chronodile in this spot, we probably need something like Poseidon in our deck, which will also somewhat brick the deck strategy. So we have to run Pharogeist in the slot to really get use out of what we're doing. And what we're doing, the reason it has to be Solar, is we are using First Light to get Pharogeist in the Underworld, which is a weird thing to say. So First Light is search your deck for a Solar Elestral, which Pharogeist is technically Solar, and put on top of your deck. We're going to put on top of our deck, shuffle the rest of our deck, and then we're going to use one of 2 cards to get it into our Underworld, and that is Comagma, which we will draw it off the top and discard it with its effect on normal cast, well, when it receives fire, so that also counts on normal. Additionally, we could also avalanche it into our Underworld off the top of our deck, as well as potentially other cards that we might want to use. We'll get to that in a second. So we're generally putting Pharogeist on top of our deck, milling it off the top of our deck with one of a couple of cards, and then we're going to use Rise from the Ashes to put it into play. The rest of the deck is all about consistency of that strategy. So starting at the top with Pandasyn's 1/4 for 1 Earth, you can disenchant Pandasyn to return an Invoke rune from your Underworld to your hand. This will let us get back our Rise from the Ashes if we happen to mill it off Avalanche, or if we've already used it once this game, we could just play Panda. Again, our normal isn't going to be super useful in this deck other than getting to our special. So using a normal to get back Rise from the Ashes is not a big deal because we're getting Pharogeist out of it. We have 1 Ash Rabbit. This is a test card in the deck. It kind of works since we're dumping stuff into Underworld. It's online a little bit sooner than other decks might be, so it's a little bit of a test card in the deck. I've actually never drawn in the game. I can't tell you too much about it. I might just cut it. Again, we have Comagma. Again, this is draw discard. It's filtering, but it generally is going to be discarding a Pharogeist from our hand or from the top of our deck into the Underworld so that we can reanimate it with Rise from the Ashes. Ash Rabbit, you all know this guy. It's a consistency card. I briefly mentioned that we don't care about normal cast as much, so having a card that's consistency card with the normal cast when we're trying to do a special cast is great. The fact that Rabbit's also great is just a boon, and it's a consistency card for the combo pieces that we might need. We can play Rabbit looking for Rise from, looking for First Lights or Avalanche, whatever we need for the combo, so Rabbit's always great. Corvishine's an interesting piece. It's similar to Rabbit. It allows us to look at some of the cards at the top of the deck, but it also allows us to, again, to put a card back from our hand on top of our deck, allowing us to put Pharogeist back on top of our deck before avalanching potentially, as well as letting us see a few more cards in our deck, adding to our consistency piles. We're only running 2 because it's nowhere near as good as Rabbit, and it is clunky because we can't use Comagma and Corvishine in the same turn to dump Pharogeist. So it's not as good as Rabbit. So we're running 2. It's sometimes relevant. This deck gets really expensive, so we need some kind of healers outside of just our 3 Ambrosia, so I had to put Kathmal in the deck as well. It's alright. It'd be nice if there's more ways to recover spirits outside of just more normal cast, because our normal cast, although is generally useful for other things, Kathmal doesn't support our backup normal cast strategy, which I'll go over at the end. So Kathmal's alright. I wish we had a different heal card in the deck. Already talked about Pharogeist. Avalanche, I just want to touch on Avalanche briefly one more again. We're never milling 5 with this. We're always going to mill 3 from both players. This is a pseudo backup win condition. If our opponent's pretty low on spirits, they're not going to be able to play around Pharogeist. We get Pharogeist out in late game. Sometimes Avalanche and Golden Apple, when we get to that, might be relevant for mill wins, and also against some decks like Morphrost that dump half their deck into the Underworld by the end of the game. Hitting them another, 9 times with mill might get them low enough where they've already spent too much to get over Pharogeist that they lose to the deck out, because we are trying to draw a lot of cards. If we get to the point where it's a 0-0 finish, we can't swing over something or something's too wally, having mill backup is alright. It's not super relevant, but The big part of this card is it gets up into Underworld that we can then return with Rise from the Ashes and Panda. First light we spoke about, Golden Fleece here. This could be Bag of Winds. The reason it's Golden Fleece, first and foremost, is because of cards like Boombat. Elestral removal from the likes of Boombat, of Kinleo, basically stop Pharogeist's completely dead in track. It becomes, Boombat is a 2-cost effective way to remove Pharogeist, and getting Boombatted will lose you the game, because that's, now you spend 6 spirits to get Pharogeist in play. Getting hit by a Boombat loses. If this was a Bag of Winds, Boombat could still hit it. Now you lost 8 spirits and 3 cards to a Boombat. So it has to be Golden Fleece. You could potentially run a Bag of Winds here. Just be careful of your Spirit Math, because the deck does run some wonky Spirit Math to play its cards. Golden Fleece is more relevant in this case to protect Pharogeist from that Earthquake, that Boombat destruction, the Killing destruction, that Royal. So we have 2 Golden Fleeces. We have 3 Ambrosias because the deck again gets expensive, so having Heal is great. 1 Drops of Leaf. If we draw Pharogeist and we have no other way to get it back on our deck, or we're looking for more combo pieces and we have the rest of the combo pieces, we Drops of Leaf them into our deck, draw some more cards, hope to find the combos. It's a fine card in this deck. Golden Apple of Discord. This is another way to get Pharogeist out of our hand, and we have tons of ways to get it on top of our deck. This is just a backup plan if we don't have Co-Magma to get it out of our hand and onto the Underworld. Additionally, at Golden Apple Discord, thankfully at least hand rips our opponent for 1 and mills our opponent for 2 cards. Milling our opponent for 2 cards generally is beneficial in most cases, being that a lot of decks are fine-tuned and don't have ways to bring stuff back out of the Underworld, that those 2 milled cards are gone for good. So most of the time, Golden Apple Discord is always beneficial in this deck, especially dumping Pharogeist. And there's a rare case where you have no other cards in hand, you can just throw an Apple Discord to randomly discard an opponent's card in hand. It's also decent against some combo decks, just try to rip cards from their combo out of their hand, stuff like that. I would probably cut Golden Apple to 2, but we'll talk about cuts and changes at the end of the video. And next up we have Nectar of the Gods. Fairly straightforward, we're playing a combo deck. We need to find our combo pieces, and the entire deck is built around consistency and combo pieces of our consistency stuff, so yeah, Nectar of the Gods to find all of our pieces. Rise from the Ashes, fairly self-explanatory. We're going to revive an Elestral in attack position, specifically 99 times out of 100 it's going to be Pharogeist. Additionally, if we do Pharogeist and we have 2 Pharogeist in Underworld, we can use Panda to get Rise from again, get 2 Pharogeist. If we happen to get 2 Pharogeist into play at the same time, the game is basically over, because that's any card they play is now costing additional 2. If they have 2 points of removal, okay, they just spent like 7 spirits to remove them, so, or maybe 5, whatever the math comes out to, it's pretty brutal to have 2, so Rise from the Ashes is pretty good. Again, we have also the ability to use something like Panda or even Ash Rabbit to recycle it from Underworld, which gives us some added utility in case we accidentally dump it with Avalanche. And lastly, we have Divine Blessing. So I've mentioned a couple times so far that our normal cast is pretty loosey-goosey with what it's trying to do. Our normal cast is generally used as a consistency tool, or if not a consistency tool, as a tool to basically dump Pharogeist into Underworld, and that's about it. Co-Magma is not really going to be our main win con or anything, so having Divine Blessing, where we use Co-Magma to dump Pharogeist, Rise from the Ashes to Pharogeist, and then set Divine Blessing will give Pharogeist additional protection against things like Invoke Runes, where we disenchant off our normal cast Co-Magma, or Rabbit, Corvus Shine, you name it, to stop the Invokes from removing it. The downside here is that something like Calf Mail does not trigger when Divine Blessing is used to disenchant it, so that's when I mentioned Calf Mail earlier. It's a little clunky in this deck, but it is a healer, and that's why we're running it. But Divine Blessing generally will just get rid of our 1-drop that we play with Pharogeist as part of our consistency combo stuff to protect Pharogeist from additional Invoke Runes, and hopefully we also have to happen to have a Fleece on it. Your mileage may vary. I think Divine Blessing here is good, and the Spirit deck is 1 Earth for our 2 Panda Sins. Generally, we're only going to ever get 1 Panda Sin and often be relevant, because if we try to do 2 Panda Sins for Rise from the Ashes, that's 8 spirits plus another 6 spirits for the Rise Froms, or maybe even more than that, depending on if you already cast Rise From. It'd be too expensive to ever use more than 2 Panda effects, so 1 Earth is fine. 3 Fire, this is fine. We're generally just using this for Co-Magma, occasionally Ash Rabbit. 2 Thunder for our Rabbits, for the chance that we happen to stick a Rabbit, don't have combo yet, and want to re-enchant Rabbit for turn. And then that will turn our Divine Blessing online even better. 2 Flurmine for our Avalanches. This could honestly also probably be 1, because we only never really need to cast 1 Avalanche, but we have the space for 2, so I'm running 2 in case you draw multiple Avalanches and want to try to go for some mill or combo shenanigans, or have the rest of the combo in hand, so you're just YOLO dumping for Pharogeist. We have 8 Solar Spirits, because the brunt of our deck is Solar, and that's what we're covering mostly off of Calf Mail, because Calf Mail is Lunar Solar. These could be a bunch of Lunar Spirits to go with the rest of the deck. You honestly could mix and match Lunar and Solar here. It's just brunt of this is Solar because we're using Calf-Mail for regen. So Calf-Mail is going to regen Solar and Lunar. And we have 4 Lunars so that we can cast potentially 2 Pharogeist in one turn. It happens occasionally. I'm not going to say it always happens, but there's a chance that you need to get 2 Pharogeist in one turn. So we're running exactly 4 Alloon to get 2 Pharogeist. If you're playing 3 Pharogeist in a turn, man, you're already winning. What do you think? So 4 is plenty, but as I mentioned, you could space this out to a little bit higher because we're recovering our Lunar and our Solar with our Calf-Mails and our Ambrosias. Your mileage again may vary here. So that is the deck. I will have 3 games for you right now to just kind of show off the deck, and boy, they kind of show all of what this deck does, the good and the bad. So enjoy the 3 games. I really like game 3 specifically. I'm not just saying that for you to stick around to like and subscribe and get watch time for game 3. Game 3 is legitimately hilarious and amazing, and game 1 is also pretty awesome. Game 1's pretty short. You'll see why. And I'll talk to you guys at the end of the video about how I think the deck performs and some changes I might make going forward. See you guys at the end of the video. Alright, so Brewlock's going first, and he's going to start off with an Harpoon to search out Rhinos. Now the Rhinos is immediately setting off alarm bells because I now know he's playing Rhinosect. Rhinosect I'm not too worried about because I do have Golden Fleece and Pharogeist in my hand right now. I drew the nuts. I have Pharogeist here. I'm going to dump it, Rise from the Ashes on turn 1, and then put an empowered Golden Fleece onto it to protect it from earthquakes from the Rhinosect that I hope he doesn't have in his hand to pop this super soon. And we'll see where it goes and do some damage here. Now he follows it up with that Rhino that he searched. He's going to pay the tax, and then he's going to pay the 1 to put it into his rune row, empowering my Pharogeist as well, turning off the tax effect. Turning off that tax effect allows him to now play his Rhinosect that he has in hand, and another Rhinosect that he has in hand. Now he does pay the taxes here. I think he forgot that he turned off the effect, but no big deal. Except for the fact that now he can trigger both these Rhinosect to destroy my Pharogeist, which will destroy Golden Fleece first, and then destroy it again, which will destroy my Pharogeist with the second pop. We both drew pretty much the nuts here. He drew double Rhinosect into a deck that I'm playing artifacts in and pops my Pharogeist here, even if he took a bunch of damage. That is my game plan that he just ruined with all those pops off the Rhinosects, and now he's just going to punch over and hit me for 3 more damage over this Comagma. Pretty frustrating. This is like a great starting hand that my opponent just decided to say, hey, I have the perfect answer for, and I'm going to heal the boot after all this basically happens and get my taxed spirits back and go up in spirits as I punch you for all this damage. Frustrating, but it's part of the gameplay. They just happen to draw the out. I take my beats, and then I have to start digging for another Rise from. So we play Nog. We just have to dig and hope that we find the cards that we need. I find an Ambrosia, which is going to heal me back up a little bit, but I'm still staring down 2 entire Rhinosects and a face down rune that, for all I know, is probably PTA. That will ruin my day even if I play Pharogeist. I play a Rabbit. Again, we're digging for more Rise from, and it's that PTA I just mentioned. So he's going to kill my Rabbit at the end of this turn. Rabbit's got to find me a Pharogeist here, or Rise from the Ashes, I should say, to get my Pharogeist, or I'm going to lose. It doesn't. I have to pass with no back row. He's going to play Broomalinx, punch me for 5 damage, putting me down to, I think, 3 here. Maybe even 2. Basically, this is game over. There's nothing I can really do unless I drew exactly an Ambrosia and other shenanigans. That was game over. So we're on to game 2 now, and I start off with a Nog, draw 2 cards, find a First Light to find Pharogeist, sorry, to put on top of my deck, to follow it up with an Avalanche, dumping it off the top of my deck into the Underworld right off the bat, as well as losing a Golden Fleece here and a Calf-Mail. I'm not too worried about the Calf-Mail, but losing Golden Fleece is a little awkward. I still don't have my answer to rise it from, but I can play Comagma here, which I find another Pharogeist and dump that as well. I have now 2 Pharogeist from Underworld, but I'm still digging for that rise from. My opponent's going to play Elestrals, searching for a Zeus, which I didn't see last game because I didn't know what else they were playing, but they're on a pseudo Thunder Nexus, Frost Nexus kind of combined strategy here, so they have Elestrals to find Zeus or Kion. They're going to subtract 3 from my Comagma to punch over it with Elestrals. I'm going to just stall out here, play my Calf-Mail for the healing, kind of prepared to hopefully keep digging. Play a couple face down, one's Ambrosia, one is Divine Blessing. I basically am just bluffing here. He's going to cast a Kion from hand, use a Broomalinx as well. Broomalinx effect to lock down my back row. He happens to hit my Divine Blessing, which isn't going to be super relevant, but my Divine Blessing is now locked down. That's why the card is diagonal. The Elestrals over my Kathmal with Zeus here. I recover some spirits, but he's going to punch me with the Broomlinks anyway for damage, so it's net pretty much even. I'm still digging for that Rise From, so I play Comagma here to just keep filtering through cards. I draw, I discard another Kathmal. That's all my Kathmal's the Underworld, so I don't have a ton of healing, but I'm going to use this Ambrosia here before potentially I lose the ability to cast it from Broomlinks, but my opponent counters it with a Divine Blessing, stopping the healing. Not the end of the world. I punch over the Broomlinks. My Divine Blessing's back online, but it's not going to be useful in this matchup. My opponent's going to grab the Broomlinks back, cast the Broomlinks. Broomlinks off Keone to Zeus here to keep Zeus in play for a little bit longer because it's just a bank. They didn't want to risk extra spirits on his Elestrals from dying. Use Zeus effect to drop Comagma again, and Elechick over Comagma again. I'm digging for Rise From here, so I play another Nog. Again, we're just trying to get Rise From here. The biggest flaw of this deck right now is just trying to find Rise From the Ashes. Can't find it, I go Nog. Still can't find it, I go Pandison. He's going to poison tip the Pandison. I don't think it's a good call because I'm using Pandison to find a Nog to cast Rise From. Hopefully, we're digging for Rise From still because we need it ASAP. I don't think it's the right play to play PTA here, but he was worried about not being able to get over the 4 defense body because he has no more Thunder chance on the Zeus. I still don't find the Rise From after all of that, so we're just going to set 4 and pass here and take our beats. We're still healthy enough, but I believe we're at 9 here. We're going to go to 7, give or take. Maybe a little bit lower. He's going to just start locking down my back row even further. He hits a Divine Blessing, and he hits a Golden Apple of Discord with those lockdowns over these past 2 turns. And he punches me for 2. I'm going to follow it up here with a Rabbit. We're still digging for Rise From. The biggest flaw of this deck is just finding Rise From the Ashes consistently. I'm not going to cast that apple because it's locked down by the Broomlinks, but I can use game action to remove it from the room row to cast an Invoke. I cast Ambrosia off the Rabbit here because I need the Spirit Math to be at least 8, so that if this last Nog finds me Rise From the Ashes, I can cast Pharogeist, and it finds me the Rise From the Ashes finally, putting me exactly 0 spirits with the correct spirits to cast Pharogeist, and now my opponent's on the clock, where I just need to keep punching him over and over again and hope he can't find removal before I drain him of all of his spirits. But he's just going to find another Rhinymph and stop the taxing effect. So all I really have now is a 3-cost Beat Stick that I'm praying is enough damage to stop my opponent fast enough before he can beat me. With the tax effect turned off, he casts his own Ambrosia, which pushes me even further back. I'm in a terrible spot. He's going to just go to defense, pass turn, and all I can do here after he passes turn is, well, punch for damage. Or rather, punch over defense Elestrals over and over and over again. He plays Rabbit, he's digging to find his Rhinosect or an Earthquake or some other removal card, and I'm just going to go punch over you again after Rabbit effect. And after that, he just plays Ambrosia again, and then he gets his Thunder Spirit back because he needed the Thunder Spirit for, well, another Rabbit. He can use the Rabbit effect again and find exactly what he needs here. Finally, after digging through his deck, we both were digging for our cards this entire time, and he just happened to find his earlier than me in terms of spirit count, finds the Rhinosect effect to destroy my Pharogeist since Rhinop's in play, and we're going to game 3. Alright, so game 3, we're just ripping literally just YOLO Avalanche off the top, because I have enough consistency cards in my hand right now that I'm okay with, where I have Rise From, and I'm just figuring, let's see if I can find it. I have no way to dump cards out of my hand right now, let's just go for it, and I hit double Pharogeist. I'm like, well, that's a card, so I cast Rise From. Get Pharogeist into play and figure, okay, now I've dropped Elite. I know what combo pieces I don't need anymore because I just cast Pharogeist. We drop Elite, the cards we don't need back anymore, draw 2 new cards, and find another Rise From the Ashes to pick up our other Pharogeist. We just spent, what, 11, 12 spirits a turn, but we have now double Pharogeist in play, making anything our opponent costs 2 additional spirits. And we're just going to start nogging here because now they have 2 Pharogeist in play. I'm looking for consistency cards to keep them in play. We nog, find Ambrosia. We're just going to pop the Ambrosia here real quick. You never know. It's Brewlock. He might just run a cheeky Eruption. We set 1 card, which is Divine Blessing. We haven't used our normal yet either. So now we're going to normal Comagma here and just have a normal casted card to use our Divine Blessing on. I have no cards in hand, so I just dump the top card, draw discard. And that Divine Blessing is going to have to be a hero card here or just keep burning our opponent out with all these Pharogeist. That's a 3-cost Narpoon. He searches for a card off the Narpoon, ends up being a Catarant because he realized how expensive everything's going to get after thinking about Rhinymph first. And then he's going to go and just crash Comagma into Narpoon. I think he knows about the Divine Blessing tech. Fair enough. I draw a card, I set it, not going to really do much here, and I punch for 6. That's Pharogeist. So he just took 8 damage from Pharogeist so far this game. 2 off playing Narpoon, 3 off one punch, 3 off another punch, and he's going to play another card, and that's another 2 damage to him right here. So that's now what? 10 damage off of these 2 Pharogeist. He's going to suppress one, which he's still going to get taxed by the other. He's going to have 2 Rhinosects here to get rid of these. He has none, so he's just going to have to pass here. He's going to take another 6 damage unless he has Tsunami, but that Tsunami will still cause him 3 damage. I'll play a Corvishine here, just it's another card in play that I can potentially Divine Blessing off of. He's going to PTA it, pay 2 for it, realize he's got to pay 1 more for it at the end of turn. I punch him here for another 6. That would put him down to literally 0 or -1 in this case, and he loses the game that way. So double Pharogeist, hey, pretty powerful. Let's jump into the wrap up. Alright, and we are back at the end of the video with this deck. So this is the best of 3 against a pretty, honestly, semi-counter matchup deck because they're playing Rhinos that shut off Pharogeist for pretty cheap, allowing them to then just remove it with anything pretty much. They have lots of ways to remove this through Elestral effects and Invoke Rune. So it was a tough matchup to begin with, but let's talk about how the deck performed. Honestly, outside of Game 2, I think the deck works. There's definitely a lot of fine-tuning to do. So Game 1, it was pretty much a slugfest. Both myself and Brulok got basically the best hands we could have hoped for at the start for our first turns, where I was able to get the Pharogeist out, and then he was able to get double Rhinymph and pressure me back with all the damage and pressure that those Rhinosects applied to Pharogeist. Being able to pop Pharogeist twice in one turn, super relevant. We both just drew the nuts, and his nuts was better than mine because I'm playing Pharogeist Reanimator. But it was a really cool game, right? Then Game 2, I was ready to go so soon with that deck, and I needed to find Rise from the Ashes, and that's the biggest flaw with Rise from the Ashes in the deck, as being one of the only cards that we can't consistently find without just finding it. We have to mill it for pandas, or find it with rabbit, or find it with nog. It took way too long to get it, so that by the time I got it, I had exactly 8 spirits because I played nog into Rise and Pharogeist, putting me at 0 and turning it into a slugfest and prey. Obviously, I lost that game, but yes, that's the biggest flaw of the deck, is just when you don't find Rise from. You find everything else, you're good. Don't find Rise from, the deck doesn't play. And that's the biggest flaw of the deck, for sure, is just don't find Rise from the Ashes, the deck doesn't play. And Game 3, as I kind of mentioned at the start of the video, getting 2 Pharogeist out against your opponent is a death sentence. Against Brulok, right? He had a 1-drop, he traded my 1-drop for his 1-drop. I had Divine Blessing ready to go and set just in case. And then after that, I then punched him for 6. Then he played another card, lost 3. So just off 2 Pharogeist in 2 turns, he took almost 12 damage, which ended the game in just a few turns because getting double Pharogeist is a game ender in a lot of cases unless your opponent has exactly double Earthquake. He did have 2 PTAs and he was going second. However, the PTA still would have cost him about 9 to 10 damage off the PTAs, putting him pretty far behind as well, giving me a little bit of time to potentially kind of recycle back my Pharogeist, possibly, or find some other way to win. But if he did have those double PTAs and went first, I might have probably lost a little bit more sooner. But those PTAs costing 9 spirits because it's 1 tax and then 2 tax to initiate, and then an additional 5 on top of the damage that you're getting punched for. So you're hitting the Elestral in play for 2 damage and another 3 damage, so that's 5. That's 14 damage from doing 2 PTAs and getting hit by 2 Pharogeist on turn 2 over an attack position Elestral. That's still pretty devastating and burns a lot of cards from our opponents, a lot of interaction from our opponents. So then we could hopefully pray that our 4 attackers get us through this game. As for side deck options, there's not a ton you could do with this deck. I think the biggest thing you do with this deck is try to find a side deck option that changes the strategy from Pharogeist Reanimator to maybe adding some of the Lunar Beat stuff and crabs, like just side crab stuff in. We already have a diverse pool of spirits. Maybe you can mix that up a bit, but finding a side deck option for this deck is rough and impossible because the deck does what it does, and that's about it. There's no secondary win con here. Maybe you go somehow find a way to make this a Solar Mill deck for game 2 and throw your opponent off, but I don't know. Lumaru, Ruminous, not going to do it in my opinion. So that is the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Like and subscribe for more content if you'd like. Peace.